okay, what it looks like. Okay, so now we're going to go into File, and we're going to go to Export Textures. Okay, in Export Textures, we're going to go into, we want to tell it what the configuration is going to be. Okay, so let's click on that first, Configuration. Let's go into, let's see here, Configuration. We got 8 bits, 4096, and we need it to be PBR Metal Rough. So we're going to kind of use our middle mouse button to slide around. And I want PBR Metal Rough. That's what we need for the configuration. Okay. For common padding, we're going to do no padding pass-through. Okay. So it's just going to pass right through. We're not going to dilate or do any of that stuff. It's going to show the entire texture, which is nice. And right now we can see that this is what we have so far. We've got a base color, roughness, metallic, normal, height, and emissive. All right, so the roughness and metallic, and like they said, the roughness, metallic, and normal maps, they work together. So basically the roughness and metallic are like the glossiness. The base color is what you see here is the color. Metallic is going to be black. The roughness is going to be whatever you saw in there as a roughness. It's usually grayscale. And then the height map is also grayscale. Okay, that is used for displacement mapping and film if you want to. Or it is a displacement in games. Okay, so it depends on what you want. Emissive is it going to be self-illuminating like a light bulb? Okay, is it going to glow? That's what emissive. So we're going to go into configuration. So in here we are going to do PBR Metal Rough. Click on that one. And this will also kind of give us the files that we're going to need for importing. Okay. Alright, so when you're done with that, you need to tell it where you want it to go. So let's go to, since I got that set up, I'm going to go to export. So where are we putting this? So I'm going to click on this, and I do not want to put it in algorithmic substance painter export. I want to put it in my hard drive where I am working and in my source images folder. Okay, cool. So basically select the folder you want to put it in. You don't have to rename it because it's going to name it whatever your object is. And then click on export. So basically let's go through everything. PNG, 8 bits, okay. PBR Metal Rough, look at everything. Document size 4096 by 4096. No padding, that means it's going to pass right through, and then we're going to get, okay, cool. Do you want to see warnings? Do you want to see some of the warnings or you see logs? No, just close that. Okay, so there's our brick. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go to the next one, and I'm not going to talk my way through this. I'm just going to go right through, right into it. It remembered all our settings except for this. And I want to select my object. This time I'm going to click on my metal. Okay. And that looks good. Okay. Discard. Okay, this kind of brings us back to this point again. And we'll go back into our base color. There's nothing in there. So you can see that there's my UV map right here. Now we're going to do the metal one. Okay, let's take a look at that one. Middle mouse button, drag that into there. There we go. So you can see the base color, the height map, the roughness map, the metallic map, and obviously the metallic is working. Normal height mesh, okay, and normal map. Okay, so let's go back into our base color. So that's our base color. So you can see what it looks like. Okay, so it looks pretty strange because we see some scratches on here and we see some rust. And the rust will be non-metallic. So it's really cool to look at this and see what the actual metallic looks like. So anything black will not show as a metallic surface because obviously rust is not metallic. It's got the light diffuses off. Anything white's going to really reflect the light, which is kind of cool. So if we look at our metal, there's nothing inside of it. So if we scroll down here, down where properties are, you can also do scaling, right? So I'm going to do a little scaling on there. I'm going to do 2, as just like I did with the brick, okay? And do I want to rotate it? No. Do we have anything in here? I'm just looking at the properties now. So we've got basically properties, and we've got some other things in the very bottom. You can just open everything up like scratches, right? Here's the cool thing. Scratches, how much? The amount of scratches, we can change that. We can bring all that up if you want to. It's kind of hard to see. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see I'm getting more scratches in there. I can add more if I want to, okay? Or I can lessen the amount, okay? The scale, okay, you can see them changing in there while I'm messing with it, right? So I'll bring that down. And do I want to sharpen those? Okay. Yes or no, whatever. Do what you want. So you can play with that a little bit, which is kind of cool. It's all procedural. You're not hurting anything. Okay. You can make those really long. Okay. Scale those down a little bit. Okay. So it's kind of cool. You can see what's happening there. Let's go down to rust. All right. So rust amount. So right now it's 0.19. And before you start playing with stuff, you might want to write those down. But you can see that I can add more rust to it if I want to. Again, it's procedural, which is kind of cool. But I kind of like how it's just a little bit, you know. So I'm going to bring that amount down because it's kind of spotty. And then you can turn up the scale and kind of look at what that does to the amount that you have and just kind of mess with that. I'm going to keep normal up to 3, and hue and saturation and lightness. And you can play with those too if you want to, right? So you can make it a little bit brighter if you want to, a little bit darker if you want to. Turn the saturation up a little bit if you want to. It's whatever you want to do. And even the hue, you can kind of mess with that a little bit. Okay. All right, so I want to keep it rusty looking. That looks pretty good, like that. We'll see how that looks when we bring it back into Maya. All right, so there's our rust, and basically that's it. You can play around, get a nice base color, and you can have wood in here, wood tiles. There's all kinds of stuff you could do with this. So I'm going to go to File, Export Textures, do the same thing. No padding, pass through. Make sure we're set at 4096. Make sure we are set up for PBR texture, metal rough. Make sure we're telling it where to go because it's gonna take it where it wants to take you. I'd rather tell it where to go, and it's gonna take a while again for this to save out, but it'll be okay. Maybe I could just save it. This will be faster if I save it to my desktop and then put them in there. So let's just do the desktop, so that'll be a little faster. Okay, looks like everything looks good. Our configure is not set up right. So scroll down and get PBR metal rough. A lot of students forget that part right here. So you have to do it in 2 places. It's really weird. Bless you. Configure PBR metal rough and then configuration. Okay, cool. Awesome. And then one.